Hello, in this video we're going to learn about graphing functions. There's a little bit of construction going on outside, so hopefully that noise won't be picked up too much by the mic. You might recognize this chart here from the last video where we talked about a bake sale and selling treats and making money. We're going to use that chart to graph. And here's a coordinate grid, and you'll notice the treats sold, these are all positive numbers, and the money made, that's all positive numbers. So part of graphing a function is choosing the correct way to graph it. Now if we were going to use this, there'd be like some negative numbers here and some positive numbers up here and negative numbers down here, but that doesn't make a ton of sense because these are all positive things, so we really only need to use this quadrant. So instead of using this full coordinate grid, we're going to get rid of it. I'm going to delete it, and we're just going to use this one right here. So we only need the positive side, so I'm just going to grab positive grid. Now part of graphing is using the correct scale. So if I say treats sold are on the x-axis, so if we call this the x-axis, and the money made is on the y-axis, we could even label that as treats sold. And this could be money made in dollars. So now we need to label these the numbers here. Now the chart from treats sold goes from like 10 to 100. So we can start at 0 here. That makes sense. And we need 100 to be on this chart somewhere. So 10, 20, 30. It looks like if we go by each 2 lines is worth 10, or each grid line would be worth 5, we can fit everything on there. Now these are pretty small grid lines, so obviously I can't write 5, 10, 15, 20. There's just not enough space. So I'm going to say, so every grid line is 5, so 5, 10, 15, 20. I'm just going to mark every 20. 1, 2, 3, so this will be 40. 1, 2, 3, this will be 60. 1, 2, 3, that'll be 80 and 100. Now on the money made, it looks like we go anywhere from 0 or 5 up to 50. So this needs to fit 50 bucks on it. So if we say 10, so if we go by every 4 is 10 bucks. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll fit. Now we don't have to fill up the graph every time, but it's nice to space out the info as much as possible. So there we go. So keep in mind we haven't even started graphing, we just kind of decided on the scale to use for each. It is common to see the scale of graphs be the same for the x and y axis, but it doesn't have to be. In this case the scales are different. I go by every 4 lines is 10 on the y-axis, and then every 4 lines is 20 on the x-axis, because you want to make sure you can fit all the data on there. Now we can go about graphing the data. I'm going to use green. So if we sell 10 treats, we're going to make 5 bucks. So that would be about right here. So 10 and 5. And if we sell 20 treats, we're going to make $10. Should be here. And if we sell 25 treats, we make $12.50. So 25 is going to be about right here. $12.50 I think is right here. And then if we sell 100 treats, we make 50. And what you'll notice is that this is a linear function. So let me do this as a straight line. Okay, and it goes on forever, meaning if we were to sell 200 treats, we'd make 100 bucks. Okay, so this is a linear function. Not all functions are linear. There are functions that look like all sorts of shapes. But in this class right now, we're going to talk about linear functions. Let's try a new problem here. So not all problems have stories that go along with them. Some of them just start with a chart and we have to graph it. Again, this is just an empty grid paper. So I'm pretending like I'm regular 6th grade student and I have this empty grid paper. How am I going to use it? Well, I have negative x values, negative y values. I have positive x values, positive y values. So I know I'm going to have to use 4 quadrants. Okay, but looks like most of the y values are positive, and we only have to go down to negative 1. So it looks like we're going to need more room up top for y, and the x goes negative 3 to 3. So the x values need to go pretty evenly the whole way. But the y, I can make the y, so hold on a minute. So if I make this the x-axis, and I make, this could be the y-axis, and I can label each, let's make each grid line worth 1, so I'll just go by 2s to space out the numbers nicely and keep it looking organized. Oops, that shouldn't be negative 2. 2, 4, this should be negative 2, and then 2, 4, 6. So the reason I've moved the x-axis down a little bit is because the y numbers are more on the positive side. And so if I had the x-axis up here like normal near the middle, I might not be able to fit everything. So you want to adjust your graph and draw your graph appropriately for the data. I'll graph in blue this time. So we have an x of negative 3 goes with a y of negative 1. So negative 3, negative 1 is here. And then we have negative 1, 1. So that'll be negative 1, 1 goes here. And then 1, 3 goes here. And 3, 5 goes here. And again, that is a linear function. So we could draw that line. Actually, in this case, since we're only given specified coordinate pairs, the line isn't really necessary. But you'll see when we get to the next example that it is.